Frank pulled his modified blue minivan into the designated handicap spot, the slow, mechanical whir of the adaptive parking brake echoing slightly in the late afternoon heat. That's when the roaring started. "Are you kidding me right now? Move it, Grandpa!" a voice shrieked, instantly shattering the mundane peace of the grocery store lot. Frank, who had just begun the painstaking process of deploying his walker from the back seat, peered through the dusty window, wondering what on earth could warrant this frenzy. The frenzy, it turned out, wore oversized sunglasses, a blazer over leggings, and an expression of pure, unadulterated entitlement. This woman, a textbook Karen, the kind who demands to speak to the manager of life itself, was idling in a massive black SUV, its engine rumbling like an angry bear, blocking the 2-foot access zone Frank desperately needed. "Ma'am, I have to open the ramp here," Frank said calmly, pointing to the international symbol of access painted on the asphalt right next to her tire. He already felt the familiar thrum of anxiety mixing with the metallic tang of exhaust fumes. "Doesn't she see the plate? Doesn't she care?" "I saw it, old man," she spat, rolling down her window just enough for her voice to carry its full, grating volume. "I'm running late. This is the closest spot to the cart return. You took 10 minutes just to pull in. You can wait another 2 until I get my latte, or just park somewhere else. It's not that hard." A wave of exhaustion washed over Frank. It was always something. He sighed, a low, rasping sound that felt heavier than the walker he was about to retrieve. He looked back towards the minivan, noticing the small, rectangular red light blinking on his dash. Maya, his daughter, had left her phone recording its post-training routine video on the passenger seat. An utterly useless piece of information in this moment of mounting frustration. That was her little quirk, always documenting her life for her small, tight-knit group of gym friends. A silly side note to what was quickly becoming a parking lot nightmare. "Look, I can't move, ma'am. I physically require this space," Frank insisted, his voice hardening slightly, trying to hold onto the vestiges of his dignity. His legs were starting to ache just from the tension. He gripped the steering wheel tight. The woman's face, already contorted with impatience, twisted into something venomous. She threw the SUV into park and flung her door open with an aggressive bang that made Frank jump. "You know what? I've had it with you people and your special privileges," she snarled, stomping towards his side of the van. The click-clack of her expensive heels sounded like gunshots on the hot concrete. "I'll park your little toy for you." Frank panicked. He hadn't even secured the walker yet. "Don't touch my vehicle. Please, just go." In a flash of infuriated, self-righteous fury, she reached into the open door, grabbing Frank's shoulder with surprising strength. "Get out of the way!" she screamed, attempting to wrench him out of the driver's seat and physically maneuver the minivan herself. It wasn't a gentle tug. It was a rough, violent push. Frank, unbalanced by the sudden assault and his limited mobility, cried out as his head smacked against the door frame. He felt the sharp, sickening lurch of his body going sideways. Did she really just assault a disabled man over a latte? The world seemed to slow down. But before Frank could hit the blistering pavement, a blur of motion appeared from behind the black SUV. Maya. She had just been walking out of the store entrance, carrying her reusable jug of water and mentally running through the notes for her next jiu-jitsu class. The sight of the woman physically attacking her father, the man who was her entire world, ignited a cold, professional fire in her gut, a stark contrast to the boiling rage of the Karen. "Hands off!" Maya's voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp and commanding, cutting through the parking lot noise like a knife. The Karen whirled around, momentarily startled. "Who the hell are you?" "Mind your business, sweetie. This lunatic tried to run into me." That lie, spoken with such conviction right after the violent shove, was the final straw. Maya didn't hesitate. Her training took over. She moved not like an angry person but like a disciplined athlete. As the woman raised a hand to dismiss her, Maya darted forward, her feet silently gripping the ground. She didn't throw a punch. She didn't yell. She executed a perfect, textbook ankle pick. 1 second, the Karen was standing there, posturing and preening. The next, with a swift, devastatingly clean thud, she was flat on her back, her massive sunglasses flying off to skitter across the asphalt like a broken insect. The wind was instantly knocked out of her lungs. "Wow, what just happened?" she gasped, staring up at the blinding blue sky, utterly bewildered. Maya stood over her, breathing heavily but calmly, ensuring her father was steady before looking down at the humiliated figure. "That, sweetie, is called self-defense, and the car camera is rolling." A small crowd had gathered, their gasps and murmurs turning into applause. A security guard jogged over, already fumbling with his radio. Frank, trembling but ultimately safe, pointed weakly at the still flashing red light on the dashboard. "It's all on camera, officer. She assaulted me." The police arrived shortly thereafter. The sight of the pristine defensive takedown, a move of skill, not anger, combined with Frank's testimony and the undeniable video evidence from Maya's dash-mounted phone, painted a very clear picture. The woman, whose name was indeed Cynthia, was charged with assault and battery on a vulnerable person. Her attempts to scream about unfair treatment and police brutality only served to solidify her reputation in the now-growing crowd of witnesses. Later that evening, the video, titled simply "MMA Daughter Picks Up Her Dad's Slack," went massively viral. It wasn't just about the swift justice, it was about the principle. Maya's gym uniform, sweat-stained and bearing the emblem of the local youth center she volunteered at, only added to the cinematic narrative of David versus Goliath. "I just couldn't let her hurt you, Dad. Not over a parking spot," Maya admitted, her voice thick with emotion as she held a bag of ice to his minor scrape. Frank reached out and patted her hand. "You didn't fight her rage with rage, sweetheart. You fought her chaos with skill, and her disrespect with dignity." He paused, looking at the internet buzzing with support. "You showed the world that when people try to prey on the vulnerable, they forget that sometimes the vulnerable are the ones with the strongest protectors." Karma, Frank realized, wasn't always a slow will turning. Sometimes it was a fast, clean takedown, delivered with the precision of a professional, reminding everyone that entitlement is never a match for justice. Isn't it amazing what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness?